Hi, I'm Sharon Spangler. Welcome to this Council Connection. I'm here at City Hall with Councilmember Dan Gustin and Steve Bunnell, who is the traffic engineer for the City of Reno. And we're going to talk about accessibility for bicyclists in this community. And the City Council just passed a couple of measures. And maybe, Dan, you were the one that spearheaded the one idea I know for sure, which was to make a bike boulevard on Riverside Drive.
Well, I was talking about, as you said, more accessibility for bicycles here in Reno, and our whole green initiative and how we're going to approach this. And actually it was Steve who came to me and John Hester with the bike boulevard idea, because we had gone through 3 or 4 sessions about what we were going to do. You might remember we started with McCarran up to 4th Street, that area in front of Roy Gom, and converted that in from a 4-lane to a 3-lane and some bicycle lanes, and it worked well. And Steve was in the forefront with me on that, and he really did a lot of things to help out. And most people now are accustomed to the change. Some people still are not crazy about it, but I think it's been better for bicyclists, for motorists, and it's a situation that worked. Then from there, we came back, I visited with Steve again. I said, Steve, I'd like to see if we can bring that into downtown. And that's where we had a lot of different ideas and back and forth about it. And we had talked at one time, Steve even did a survey, and I'll let him talk about that, about making Riverside Drive one way. And we really didn't know which way that should be, whether it should be going east or coming west, and how many people were in favor and not in favor, and I'll let him talk about that. But from that sprung the idea that he came forward with and said, look, the one-way idea can work, but here's another idea. And he gave some examples of where it was working in Berkeley, California. It works in Davis, and said, why don't we go about this? So why don't we start there and let him tell you why we got to where we are now?
That's a great idea.
Well, yeah, Dan, we had to look at Riverside. We want to make it a little bit more pedestrian friendly and bicycle friendly. So working with Dan on that, we looked at the concept of putting in bike lanes along there, but we'd have to make it one way because it was too narrow, the roadway. And so we had some operational problems with that, with the one-way flow of traffic. You'd have some circulation problems with the vehicles, and also one of the bike lanes would have to be against traffic, which is not a preferred way of having an operation with the bicycles. It's a little bit dangerous. So we started investigating some things, and I'd heard about bike boulevard concept that they do in Berkeley. And
what exactly is that?
Well, there's no one way of doing it, but it's really you put up some signage, you do some traffic calming to slow traffic, and you can do some pavement markings to alert motorists that bicycles can share the road. You put some bicycle boulevard pavement markings down, and then you just make it a little bit more friendly and alerting the motorists that bicycles are out there too. And that really helps and slows traffic down and makes it a safer environment for the bicyclists. So that's what we're going to do on Riverside Drive.
And how soon is this going to happen?
We hope to have it up sometime early October, weather permitting. We're going to do some traffic speed tables out there to slow vehicles, and also put up some signage and some pavement markings. So we hope to have that up in a few weeks.
Now, will bikes get the right of way? How does that work?
Well, no, they'll share the road just like they normally would. It's just alerting motorists that they have. That's
going to be a little bit of an educational process to alert motorists that they ought to let the bicyclists have part of the road.
Yeah, they'll have to follow the same traffic laws that they always have. Everybody will.
You know, Sharon, it's interesting because we're taking this. It's like, I guess, like eating an elephant. You take it in pieces, you know. So that's one element to it. We talked about coming from Mayberry to how are we going to hook up to Riverside Drive. There's still about 3 elements to that pieces that we've got together. We think we know what the plan is going to be, but from Mayberry to Hunter Lake, we'll do what we did from Mayberry from McCarran to 4th Street, where we'll go with the 3-leg traffic, and we'll go with bike lanes on both sides. And then again, visiting with Steve, and we're also taking this in front of the Bicycle Commission and telling them and getting some other ideas. So it isn't quite finalized yet, but there are some pieces that we thought we were comfortable with, but we're not totally comfortable with, and that is coming from Hunter Lake into downtown. Because when you come down Mayberry, then there's that elbow into California.
Right.
And for cars and bicycles, we've gone back and forth. We've seen a couple of drawings, and Steve can elaborate on that. We're not quite sure that that's going to work. The other thing we might have to do, if we went that way, was eliminate some parking for the homes that are on Mayberry just before you get to California, and I have not been in favor of that idea. So we're still working on that. We would have to change coming up California to Newlands Park, and you know, that's been established for so long with two-lane traffic both ways that it would really be difficult, and Steve can speak about the traffic a little better than I. So we are going down Hunter Lake to Idlewild, and then down to the Booth Street Bridge, and then to Riverside, which takes you into downtown. That's our plan right now. It may change, but we're seeing difficulty coming down Mayberry onto California and then onto down to Arlington. So
that's
been
a tricky
the difficulty.
area with
Yes.
the railies, and there's that narrow area there too. That's kind of a tough spot.
Well, when you get in front of the Village Shopping Center, that's where it becomes, as you come down the hill and California merges in
Right.
To Mayberry and becomes California. That's the difficult thing, and we've talked and looking at a couple of plans, and RTC, I understand, is going to come back with a couple more plans, but we really haven't taken care of that segment yet. We're doing it, as I say, this elephant, we're taking it a piece at a time.
So you did a survey? Did you talk to people to see if they had an appetite for it? Or
Initially, that's what we did on Riverside Drive. We did do a survey on Riverside. We sent out a questionnaire and a ballot to all the residents around the area, just letting them know that that was during the one-way configuration change for Riverside. And it came back about 50-50 for wanting to get the bicycle lanes. They really wanted some kind of improvement in there for the bicyclists.
there's a lot of people that ride bikes through that area.
Right. And getting back to what Dan was speaking at, there's a section where we want to bring, like you said, continue Mayberry, the striping we have west of McCarran, and bring that in towards Hunter Lake. Where we start having problems, like Dan was saying, is right around where there's some parking we'd have to eliminate, and you can't eliminate people's parking in front of their houses. And also there's some problems when you get down towards the signals at Booth and Keystone, and that ramp is fairly steep, and for a novice bicyclist, I don't know if it'd be a good idea to try to direct them into that area. It's a little dangerous, and it gets the traffic is real heavy there, especially during high school, when high school is getting in and out. You have a lot of high school kids around there, and it gets pretty congested. And it would take some configuration changes to the signal at Keystone, because currently, if you go up that hill, if you go past Keystone, the through traffic can just keep going eastbound. It's a continuous green. So if we change it to a two-lane section, they would have to stop there, so that would cause even more of a congestion problem. So we have some issues with that.
I really like the idea of going down Hunter Lake and going around Booth and hitting Riverside Drive that way. That's a really good idea.
Right, and Dan came up with that initially too, that route. He thought it was a good idea too, and to head south too, down to Plum. If you want.
Idlewild is a little congested when you go by the pool because they have a lot of apartments there and people parking. But as Steve said, and that's why we work so well together, the coordination of this, the safety factor on Idlewild is better than it is going up California. You know, this is kind of a thing I'm going to tell you. This is kind of a serialized thing. Stay tuned. We've got more information for you. But right now, that's what we've got. We've got it in segments, but we think the plan will fit together. It will fit nicely once we make all the decisions.
I remember taking my daughter on her bike with her training wheels on the sidewalk through there.
Did she have the training wheels or did you?
But anyway, so good luck with that. And
Thank you.
ultimately, this is all part of the City Council's priority, which is to go green.
It certainly is, and more bicycles on the street and people enjoying the city. You know, it's all about lifestyle here. It's about our environment and our lifestyle, and we think we're making some good moves.
Well, thanks. I enjoy this monthly get-together to talk about what's happening with the City Council, and now now you're not a novice anymore being on the show. We'll bring you back from time to time.
Invite us back, because this is an ongoing project, and Steve's worked very hard on it, and he and Oro and some people in Public Works have helped out a great deal.
Oh, it's great too. Thank you very much. And thank you all for joining us on this Council Connection.